Hey, I told you I'd come right back. I want to welcome you guys back to mine and Carolyn's house, sitting out here on the deck. And we started in our first video talking about basic training, how what I was going through, and what I saw and experienced by being in the military. And so again, to get back where I was talking about when we were on a forced march, I had sprained both of my ankles, and so my dad always told me, don't go to the dispensary. I mean, that's to the little hospital there because, they they're gonna treat you worse. Well, I don't want to say treat you worse. We're not gonna treat you the way they should have. And I'm not saying all this to badmouth the military at all because the military is needed and it's still needed in the times that we live in. But I was just telling you the experience that I had there. And so what I decided to do, even though I had both sprained ankles that day because well, I guess we'd walked 15 miles that day with a full pack and ran and everything else too. And then we'd have to stop and march in place for a while, and stuff like that. And so we uh, came back. After we came back from our forced march, we were told that we were fixing to go to the rifle range where we shoot our rifles and everything. And I'm gonna tell you some stories about happening in those situations too. But when I got back, uh, I'd taken my I'd taken my shoes off or my boots. That you had boots that laced up, uh, on your feet, and so I realized I had sprained both ankles, and it was really hard to walk, especially to march and all that. So I had just I didn't really know what to do, but I knew that I wasn't going to go to the dispensary or uh, the med corps there to get them to check my ankles because I knew all they was going to do is wrap them up and then you'd have to repeat everything over again if you were off for a little while, whatever. And I did not want to repeat something. And I feel the same way about life. I don't want to have to repeat something in life if I can have an understanding and see what is happening. Same way with you. You don't want to keep repeating the same cycle, because if you do, you think then that's the cycle of your life, that something's bad is going to happen to me, or I went through a bad situation or whatever, and then you're always expecting that. Like in certain times of year, everybody gets the flu. I guess I'll get the flu this year. I mean, those things are a lot of that. I'm not saying that that's not something that happens, but a lot of that's mental as well. If you think you're going to get something, then more than apt you're going to get it. And that's why I said that calling those things be knowledge of the word, that you don't just look at what you see that's in front of you. You look and you say, and I begin to see what is past that and what is the success of that or what is the answer of that. So what I decided to do, that I was going to continue to go. And so it was hard to put my shoes on, so I put a double pair of socks on, and I laced my boots up real tight, because they would come that high above your ankle, almost to your calf. Those boots that we wore, they were called combat boots. Back in those days, they were black. And now, even when my grandpa was in the military, they were brown, and now they're black. And now I think they got the tan Desert Storm type shoes now. But anyhow, I laced them up real tight, and so I went on back because I didn't want to miss a day of training because I didn't want to have to repeat it. So I was blessed through that my ankles got to be okay. They were sore and bruised a little bit, but by me wrapping them tight like that, I was able to continue to go on. So we had learned that day that we were fixing to go to the rifle range. Previously from that, we were uh, issued our rifles, and you had to know the serial. You had to know your serial number on your rifle, or especially the number that you had to call out each time for them to give you your rifle. Back in those days, there were M16s. They looked like the weapons of today. They got the small stock and the clip that goes to the bottom. They got semi-automatic and automatic and all that. Really a good weapon, M16. But what we did our training with what they call the old military weapon was called an M1. The M1 was a long rifle, heavy rifle, you know. And so they want us to work out with that because the M16 was a pretty light weapon. The other one was real heavy. And see, that's what life wants you to do. It wants you to work out on the heavy parts of life, but it wants to make you think that you're going to stay there. But if you work out in those things and overcome those things, then you can get to the light thing. You can get to the light weapons of life. And so anyhow, we'd go out there and we had to hold those things out for I don't know how long. It felt like your arm was going to fall off, you know. But more PT, drill sergeant, more PT, more physical training, drill sergeant. You'd always holler, and you thought in your mind, I don't really mean that. more PT, more PT. Okay. And so we worked the rifles, you know, and so we got to be real strong. And so when you started dealing with the weapons of your warfare, they become light and they're easy to move around. Same way in life, when you learn to work through those things, and the weapons of your warfare becomes light to you, how you can overcome weapons of warfare in life. There's demonic warfare in your life that's always wanting to take your life, wanting to always lead you off, wanting always to punish you. Remember, we read this scripture. It said that the enemy comes only but to steal, kill, and destroy. That's what the enemy of life is wanting to do. That's what life wants you to do. Life, that the spiritual side of that life is evil, that it wants to control you, and it wants to steal from you, and it wants to kill you, and it wants to destroy you. But if you learn the weapons of your warfare, of lifting those heavy things and pushing those things back, resisting those things. See, that was more of a resistance thing. We were resisting, you know, pushing those things back, and, you know, getting those things over our head, and working out and everything that built the muscles that we needed. And then the other one was so easy, you could one hand on sometime and shoot it, you know, because it didn't have that much of a recoil. Now the old M16, the M1, if you put it against your shoulder and you fired around, it almost spin you around the ground. So those were improving the basics of how to deal with warfare in your life. And so that's what we're talking about, the basics, how to deal with warfare in your life as you're going along here. You know, and you say, well, what does this have to do with my perfect love life and my marriage and all that? It's building a character in you to know how to protect that, and how to see what things are coming so you can protect your love life, you know. And you say, well, what was Carolyn doing that time? She was preparing to be Mrs. Tim Rivers. She was getting down the basics that she needed to do. She was taking home ec in high school, and she was learning to sew in high school, and you know, she was taking the things. I'm sure she spent time with my mom, and I know she asked them questions on top of questions, you know, because she saw what a good marriage life they had, and her marriage life was going to be even better than that with me, you know, speaking those things be not as though they were. And so we knew that we were going to go out to the rifle range that day. And so we now on top of the being probably now 50 pounds of extra weight that you carried on your back, you had everything you needed in the field. Even though we weren't going to use those today, you had to learn to carry those things. And that's what happens in life too. If you learn the basics, you learn to carry the basic things when you may need to use them, and they'll be there for you when you face the elements of your life. And so here we are, got our rifle this time, and we got clips now. It's got real bullets in it, you know, real ammo in this thing, and so that added more weight too. I think we had a total of maybe 4 clips, maybe a bit more than maybe 6 clips of ammo, you know, bullets that you would put in your M16. And so here we are going to the range. So now we only got the rifle. Now we got all the full pack, and so we're going to the range, and the range is 15 miles away. So here we are, getting after it, man. In the cadence, you left, right foot, you know, and then you learn to march, man. You learn to almost hear that in your sleep at night. You can almost have your legs moving at night. But we're all starting to come together. See, we had a few that was messing up, and here they go running around the deal, and you know, some that couldn't march. Was always said, your left, and they were trying to do their left foot and get their left foot in step. And so eventually, even those that were having that were not uh, good in rhythm and things, that you if you're then your attitude would change. And we talked to them about that. Said, look, think that you're gonna be able to do this. Change your attitude about it. Don't say, I can't do this. I just can't do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't overcome this. I, and I'm saying that to you too. Don't say, I can't have a I can't have a perfect marriage like Tim is talking about. I can't have a love life like a true love story like Tim is talking about. I can't have. I can't have. I can't have. See, what you're saying is you can't have because you're saying that you can't have. So we begin to work on those guys' attitude about saying I can't. We say, oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Someone say, no, you never will be able to do it. I don't know why you're here. Why don't you go over the wall? See, that was the enemy talking to them then. But they had to realize that if they run away, they still had to repeat it. The same way in life. If you run away from the situations, you may think you leave it, but it always follows you. I talked about those moments that you were taking advantage of, and in your life, whatever it was, that you face those and you leave those behind, and you don't take those with you. Most time we pack those and take those with us, and we don't. Sometimes we don't realize that we did, but we do. So here we are marching. I got my rifle, my M16. I got it, boy, and I'm GI Tim. I'm going to the range and going to the range and going around. I thought, Lord, where's this range at? He's already, we're gonna walk to Vietnam. No, I didn't say that. I said, who are we walking to? Because I never would say anything that I would be in Vietnam or anything like that. I never would say that at all. You know, did everything look like it? Yeah, everything looked like it, man, because that's the kind of company we was in the 224th Bravo Company, or B Company, and that was a military company, and that was AIT, Advanced Infantry Training. We were going through that and everything. But here we are going to the range. We finally get to the range, and so they got these targets out there, and the important thing about life is that you pay attention. The important thing, even in the military, that you pay attention. You don't let your mind wander. You don't let your mind daydream over. You just say, well, were you not thinking about Tim? I mean, you weren't thinking about Carolyn at that time? No, not at that time. I wasn't thinking about Carolyn because I had to focus on what I needed to do to get back to Carolyn. The only time I thought about Carolyn is night, when everything was quiet and I was in my bed. I had my pillow hugged up. I simulated her being there with me in my mind, and so I would enjoy that time of having thoughts of her, but I didn't ever really think about her in the sense that I got my mind off the basic training. I think it was due because, like I said, I had changed my attitude about everything, and that's what you got to do. You got to change your attitude about where your life is at and how you can have a better overcoming life. And so anyhow, here we are at the range, and I got this little group that I'm with and everything, and these people with these steel pots on, they're look like turtles, because their head is pushed down, their neck is pushed down because it's so heavy on their neck and everything. And so, but after a while, you got used to wearing it, and you got used to having it, and then you realize that it was protection. If someone shot at you, and it hit you in the head, not that it wouldn't knock you down, maybe knock you out, but it would save your life. So we got there, and they had these foxholes dug, big old holes dug, and what was going to happen, they said, okay, here's the instruction for the day. We're going to get in line here. You get ready. You put your clip in. Make sure your rifle's on safety and all that. And then what we're going to do when we say move out, you're going to jump into the foxhole, and then you're going to get ready to fire. And we got these targets out there, and we'll tell you when to fire. So okay, I can do that. So then the first group, there was this little guy in there. Man, they had been giving him fits from the very start, because they were trying to, I don't know why this approach, I guess I can understand it. They were trying to tear you down to build you up the way that they would want you to be, to listen to orders to do anything. If they told you to run out in the street, you'd run out in the street because you were learning the discipline that you needed. And so this little guy, when I say little guy, he was shorter than me. I'm about 5. Back then I was about 5'10", 5'9", And so the first thing said, "All right, first group, move out." And when he jumped down in the foxhole, you thought he had a pogo stick on. He come back out, shoot down in the hole, and everybody hit the ground. We didn't know what all was going. And what had happened was in South Louisiana, they had a lot of coral snakes. And what had happened, one of the drill instructors had thrown the coral snake down in there. It was a dead snake, but he didn't know that. So when he jumped in there and boom, he come right back out and he started shooting in the hole, and everybody hit the ground and everything. And of course they give him a fit over that and give him a hard time over that. You could have killed all those. What was you shooting? Why did you do that? And so they were trying to teach you to go ahead and jump down in there, but don't fire yet. So that was kind of a dirty trick to play on this young man, because now he's already rattled, and I began to watch him, and just like he was shaking all over. He didn't. Of course, that shook him up, and he jumped down on the snake, and then he shot down in there. He emptied his whole clip in the down there on that snake. Well, they got the snake out of there, and not everybody, the first group got in there, and so there was another guy in our company that he was left-handed, and so when he shot left-handed, he was on this side. He was shooting. In my phone, it's going to show you. It looks like it's on my right side, but it's really this is my left side, and so he got down in there and they got ready. So okay, put it on semi-automatic. So when you pull the trigger on the M16, it would burst like, it just sounded like y'all went at one time, but there would be 4 shots right behind it. A little burst when you pull the trigger. So you had to calculate how you pulled the trigger because of the burst of shells that would come out. It wasn't just automatic. They would just hold the trigger. They'd pump them all out. Just when you pull the trigger, it would pop those rounds out. So anyhow, he's down there. He's left-handed. Let me do it this way then. So that makes it look like a left-handed. So he's down in there left-handed, doing this. And so they said, all right, see the target? Pull off a couple rounds. Pull a couple rounds. Well, him left-handed on the rifle where the brass came out or where the empty shells came out was on the right side. Him being left-handed, that threw the shells right back into him. So what happened when the shells came out, it hit his steel pot and he went down the back of his shirt and he jumps up shooting. And all those hit the ground. I said, oh, dear Jesus. I said, what's the deal here? It ran through my mind, but I didn't say it. It ran through my mind. I said, oh, God, we're going to get killed here. No, that kind of ran through my mind, but I wouldn't speak it out at all because I didn't want that to be true. And so I thought those things, and so they grabbed him up by the nape of the neck, and it wasn't his fault because the brass come out on the right side, him being left-handed, us being right-handed shooting, the brass, hot brass just came out. So I guess what I'm saying is you got to watch in your life where the brass comes out, where the rejections come out, where the things in life come out at you that they don't hit you in the head and it gets down in your shoulder and cause you to do something that can not only endanger you but everyone else around you. So I learned these lessons as we went along, So we got through that. I got in there. I'd been hunting with my dad a lot, and we knew gun safety and so forth and so on. So it was a real fun thing to me. And even out of basic training, I got a marksman ribbon, to put on my uniform and all that. And so to me it was a lot of fun. But it wasn't fun to see what was happening to some of those guys. When I say a lot of fun, it wasn't a lot of fun then. But I realize now it was not that bad for me. And so we got through with that, and so they said, okay, we're going to go to another course, so they said, put your rifle over your head. So we got our rifle over our heads, and like we were marching through the swamps or whatever, and we had to go that way, the whole time. And thank God we'd already worked out on the M1s, and then this thing was real light, so it was not that bad to carry. So we got over to this other place, and this is this is a hand grenade range, and where you throw hand grenades and things like that. I mean, understand, folks, these are all live things. These are live bullets. These are live explosive. So we were in danger, and that's why you need to pay. And you needed to pay attention. The same way in this life, you need to pay attention of what's around, what's going on around you. View everything that's around you, so you know that you're not walking in danger. And that's why I always said the steps of a righteous man is ordered of the Lord, because He keeps you one step of calamity and danger, because you're looking and you're paying attention to where you're going. And so anyhow, we gone to the hand grenade range, and so they had this huge wall behind us, a huge wall made out of railroad ties, a real heavy wall. I guess, well, it's probably tall as my roof on my house here to our big room here. It was about 25 feet tall. And and then they had it all boxed in. They had those little boxed in areas where you would stand with the instructor to, throw the hand grenade. So we all got in there. I think there was about 5 at a time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got in there and said, now here's the instructions. So they give us a live hand grenade. In that hand grenade, you were okay if the pin was still in. But if the pin wasn't out, then you had to be sure that you didn't let go of the hand grenade. And then sometimes that's like life. You got the hand grenade in your hand, and you've already pulled the pin. So you got to put the pin back in so you won't be in danger of when you let go of the situation, they don't explode on you. So, being in baseball, and I told you I had a chance to go and try out for the Houston Astro Farm Club way back then, and I wanted to play professional baseball. And so I could throw a ball pretty far. Our property here, probably back there to the creek's probably about, at one side is probably about 900 feet. Yeah, about 900 feet or whatever. And I could pretty well throw a baseball from the point where I was at in the air, maybe not that far, maybe about 700 feet. I could throw in from the center outfield directly to the plate without it skipping on the grass. So I had a really, really good arm. So we got in there, and the instructor was with us, said, okay, here's your pineapple, they call it. Here's your hand grenade. So you grab the hand grenade in your hand, and you had to push the trigger down, the trigger, little handle that come on, you had to push the trigger down. That's the only way the pin would come out. If the trigger wasn't down, you could not pull that pin out. But the pin is the safety part of it, is the real safety part of it. Said, okay, we're standing here. The drill instructor is standing behind me, and he says, okay, grip it and push the lever down, the pin, not the pin down, but the handle down on the side of the hand grenade, and pull. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pull the ring out, and then you're going to drop the ring, and then you're going to throw the hand grenade. Everybody got that? Yes, drill sergeant. Yes, drill sergeant. You've seen Gomer Pyle and some of those, how you had to yell and everything. And that's the way we did. So he said, okay, let's get ready. All right. I was like the fourth one. And then there was the fifth one there. So they said, okay, everybody get ready. So the first one pulled, or was none, I think we was standing behind it, but we was in row to come up into the bunker. We had like concrete bags and things around the side and the front and everything. The bunker was probably about this high, where you could see over it, maybe underneath my arms or something. And so the first guy stepped up. Okay, grip the hand grenade, pull the ring, drop the ring, throw it. Boom, 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 boom. It was all exploding. And then he got to me and he said, okay, come on in here, and so, okay, here's a hand grenade. You mash the hand grenade. Everybody still standing in their boxed in area. Okay, you pull the hand grenade, you drop the pin, and you throw. Because like I said, when I played baseball, I could throw it. So I threw mine, you could hardly hear it explode. I didn't want that thing to be close to me at all. So I thought, oh man, that was pretty neat. And like I said, we dropped the ring. Okay, so the next guy in there was that same little guy that they got onto for, and he was already nervous. And he was nervous as a cat on a hot roof, you know. And so he got in, he had his back to it, and the drill instructor was standing behind him and said, "Okay, now understand he's left-handed, okay?" So they give the hand grenade to him, you know, and so he's got the hand grenade in his left hand. Actually, he was turned facing me because him being left-handed. So he's got the hand grenade in his left hand, and then when he pulled the ring out, the ring was in the right hand, and they was instructed, say, okay, when you pull the ring, drop your left hand and let the ring fall. Okay, him being left-handed, it was just the opposite, and that was the instructor's fault as well too. And so here he is, he's in there. No, he had his back to me, just like everybody else. But he was so shook up that when they said pull the ring, now drop the ring out of your left hand, well, he drops the hand grenade in the box. And then all of a sudden they realized what had happened, and thank God the drill instructor was right there with him, because when he reached down and picked it up and just lobbed it over the wall, and all of us hit the wall. That thing exploded. Oh, Lord have mercy. That thing exploded, and shrapnel just went everywhere. You know, the metal pieces just covered that wall. You know, when that all happened, we all knew to hit the ground. So I thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna kill this guy now because another mistake. So they jerked him out of there, and I thought they were gonna go ahead and shoot him, but they didn't. And so they jerked him out of there, and they pulled him over to the side and got a hold of him by the collar, and took his well, they didn't take his rifle away from him, took all the ammo away from him, and everything else, and then they got a piece of chalk and marked an H on his helmet, hazardous. Don't be around this guy. So the guy was marked hazardous. So sometimes in life, when you make mistakes like that, and because you're nervous about things in life, or you don't know things in life, or you weren't instructed to trace life in the basic things you need to do, sometimes you get marked H, hazardous, on your helmet, and so therefore it becomes a stigma to him. He was a stigma to this little guy. I mean, he was not worth anything after that, and that's what happens sometimes in life to you. Someone has marked an H, hazardous thing on your helmet, and that's not you at all. And so we have to get back to the basic, have to understand the basic. And so I didn't know what to say to this young man. I just walked up to him. I said, hey, bud, you said you just pay more attention, and you listen to instruction, and you get your mind out of it, that you're part of us and that you're not a hazard. Even though I probably in my own mind I thought he was, because I wanted to stay away from him, but I couldn't. He was in my bunch, you know. So anyhow, that was another wild experience that we had, and so I got back to the bear, and we finally got off the range, the hand grenade range and the rifle range, and went back, and of course we were all exhausted and everything, and so we went in and went to chow and had chow, and then came back, and in those days you did your duty of the day or your training of the day, and then most time you were ready to go to bed and sleep, you know. And so I got back in the barracks and was sleeping that night, and I began to think about Carolyn, you know, and what could have happened to me that day, but I realized how God had protected me, and he'll do the same thing to you, for you. Hey, I'm going to close right now, and I'll pick up here in just a minute. And but I always want to say what Carolyn always said: we are eternal, and we'll talk to you later. God bless you. I'll talk to you real soon. Thanks.